Stuff Games here, and welcome to my first episode of my Banished playthrough. We're just here on the loading screen. Banished is a very interesting game to me. It's like a sort of city management game, but you know, it's quite customizable, and it just creates like sort of, in my opinion, like a sort of medieval style. You know, it's not really like SimCity or City Skylines or anything like that. It's got its own different twist. But we'll get into it. This is the main menu, so if we create a new map, so you can choose a town name. I'm going to call it Blue Stuff Games. Very unoriginal, I know. Map seed, now obviously you can put whatever you like in here. I'm just going to have a random one though. Next we've got terrain type, so you've got either valleys or mountains. I think I'm going to go for mountains. Mountains are better for if you need to use lots of mines, because mines need to be placed on the side of mountains and hills, but we will get into that as we play. Valleys tends to give you a bit more space to actually build, but I am going to go for a large map, so I shouldn't be running out of space. Terrain sizes again, so small, medium, large. I'm just going to go large because why would you not? Climate, mild, fair or harsh. We'll go mild, yes. Oh, we could go harsh, I suppose. Make it difficult. Be a short series if I die, but we'll go harsh and make it difficult. Disasters on or off, I just leave them on because I think it adds a bit of, you know, it's quite interesting. Starting conditions, easy, medium or hard. So on easy, you begin with 6 families, a large amount of clothing, food, firewood, building materials and tools. Homes and storage areas have already been built, seeds for fields, as well as a herd of livestock. Easy is very easy. I've started on easy, medium and hard. We're going to start on hard, of course, so we begin with only 4 families, small amount of food, clothing, firewood and tools, and you get no seeds or farming or anything like that. So you have to get everything yourself. So we're going to hit OK, and we're just going to let the game load up. See, look how pretty this looks. Normally doesn't take too long to load up, but as I'm recording, it might take a little bit longer. So when we play on hard, we should start with a cart, which will have little bits of food, clothes and tools in for us already, which will be nice. Should be any minute now. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pause the recording and I'll be back once it loads. Okay guys, the map has just loaded in and I have hit pause just so that we don't use up any of our resources and time here. You see we've got our people here. Now the little symbol above their heads is showing me that they're homeless, but that's fine. Obviously we don't have any homes just yet. We've got one wandered away over there, look. So in the cart here we've got 100 firewood, we've got 9 coats, 12 tools and 1,200 potatoes. Now that seems like a lot, but trust me, it really isn't. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do while we're paused, you see we've just paused there, is under our tools report we can open up some interfaces. So we've got this bit here which tells us the temperature, we've got the happiness and the average health of the citizens, and then here we've got a load of resources, so we can see how many we've got nice and easily here. We can see we've got 8 adults, no students and 3 children. Now the children don't work, you can't give them anything to do, they just sort of use up resources, so to speak. So although that's kind of irritating, you know, there's nothing that we can do about that. And when they get to the age of 10, they become an adult, and then they can start doing stuff for us. If you click on people, you can see exactly what they're doing. So for example, this child is 9, so in 1 year they will already, you know, they'll be starting to help us. You can see their jobs, their gender, so you see you've got 18, labourer. So that's quite interesting, it's nice on quite a personal level. If we open up the event log, so that's very useful to have open. It tells you if any disasters happen, it tells you if someone has died, or it tells you when someone gets to, a child gets to age 10 and then becomes a labourer by default, and then you can assign them to another role. We've got the map here, which is useful to have, so you see we're in the middle here, see we're by a big lake here. You sort of get a rough idea, so we've got a big river heading down there and a couple of lakes, so that looks quite nice. It looks like we're starting quite a good spot. I want to be by a lake to start, as fishing is how I'm going to be getting the main bits of my food. Next we've got the resource limits. So this is how many of a resource we will store before that will no longer be created. And I think that is everything we need, is it? No, I think we're missing something. What are we missing? Got that, got the map. This one, here we go, professions. There we go, I thought my screen looked a bit funny. I might make these smaller so that you guys can see the screen a bit better. I just like having them big when I play, just so I can, you know, really see what's going on without straining my eyes. I've got the window that I play Banished in is quite small. I don't play on full screen, but obviously for you guys you are seeing it full screen, so I might make that a bit smaller for you. So professions, this is a very important screen as well. So this is everything we can assign people to do. So at the moment there's 8 labourers because we have 8 adults. Now labourers will go and gather resources if you tell them to. So that's sort of their main purpose. Now on the right here where it says 0 of 0, the second 0 is how many, sort of the maximum you could have, or in some cases it's how many the game thinks you're required. For example, with builders, if you put down lots of buildings at once to be built, it will tell you you need a lot of builders. You know, otherwise it's going to take a long time to build those, but we will get into that as we get started. So, the main ways that you can die in Banished is if everyone freezes to death and everyone starves to death. So food, firewood and housing should be our first concern. That's what we're going to get focused on. So the first thing we're going to do is put down a stockpile. In the middle here we're going to have a nice big one. 10 by 10 is the biggest we can go, I believe it is. So we've got our stockpile there. And we're just going to put a dirt road going around that. Now dirt roads are useful because people travel faster on them. So when you've got various buildings all over the place, you want to put down these roads so people travel faster. And later on, when we can put down stone roads, they'll be able to travel faster still, which obviously is important. So the first thing I'm going to do is get them collecting resources. As we've started on hard, we start with nothing. So we can get them collecting iron, stone, trees, and then this one just removes everything in the area. So first of all, I think we'll get them to take down this little bit here, this little bit here, and this little bit up here. So we'll get them started on that. They should spring into action any moment now. There we go. So if we zoom right in, you can see them getting to work, cutting down trees, collecting resources. And what they'll do is they'll take that over to this stockpile here, and then we'll be able to see how much we've got. And as it fills up here where we've got all our resources, we'll start to see. So when you know, the wood and the stone and the iron is popped in here, it will add up here and we'll know what we've got. So the first building I want to make, under housing, I'm going to make a boarding house which provides a temporary place for the homeless to live, and obviously all these people are homeless, so they can all share the same house. That takes 100 wood and 45 stone, which is expensive in comparison to a normal house which takes only 16 wood and 8 stone, so obviously that is quite a bit cheaper, but this will provide housing for everyone straight away, which I think is really important. So what we're going to do, it is huge as well. I'm going to try and pop that on here if I can. There we go. So what's that done now? So if you place it with trees or anything on it, it will have here the remove where things need to be removed. But obviously we've placed it over open ground, so that's 0, 0. And then this is how many resources are in it. So obviously at the moment we haven't got anything in it, we've only got what's in here. But what labourers will do when you place buildings down is they'll go to your stockpiles and they'll move resources where they need to go. So at some point resources from here will be moved into here. Now, once the resources in here are full, so once we've got 100 out of 100 logs and 45 out of 45 stone, that's when the builder or builders will come along and they have to build 150, I'll call them units because they don't really have, you know, an amount. So I think what we'll do, it recommends 4 builders to work on this. We're not going to have 4, we're just going to have 2 I think for now. And I'm going to speed the game up to 2 times. I don't want to go too fast because I don't want it to start getting away from me, because that can happen very quickly in Banished. Especially the first year is the most important year. Once you get to that first winter, so you start in winter, right at the end of winter, and then it turns to spring. As soon as you get back into that next winter, that's really, really tough, especially when playing on hard, and like I have with a harsh climate. So it's best to just take it slow to start off with, and, you know, wait for things to build up themselves. So looking at our resources, we've got plenty of iron, which at the moment we don't need any. What we really need is stone and logs. So what I'm going to do is go to my remove tool and find any stone. So this is all iron, so obviously when going over it with the stone, it doesn't show any as there. So we'll collect the stone there, there's some stone there, and the stone here. We'll get that all collected. Hopefully that should be 45 in total. As for logs, it looks like we're doing quite well on logs, but I will just get rid of these trees here, just a couple of them as well, just to make sure we've got enough. And I want this built before we do anything else, so all I'm going to do is speed it up again. So you can see the builders we assigned built this road now. That's another job of the builders. Reserve of logs as well, that's because they've taken them and put them in here. So you can see we've nearly got all 100 logs in here, which is excellent. But the stone, we've only got 6 so far, so hopefully those bits I've told them to go and gather are enough. It is important to note that any profession, I believe any profession, but I know, for example, builders, when they don't have anything to build, so for example, at the moment, they've built the road, and this can't be built yet because it doesn't have all the resources. So what they will do is they will sort of default back to labourers. So even though it won't show, you know, up here as an extra 2 labourers, I do really have 9 labourers working. So that's quite important to know that, you know, you don't have to keep assigning and reassigning, because sometimes that can, you know, take a little while to take effect. Right, here we go, we're nearly on 45, I'm going to slow it back down to 2 times, and you can see we're now on the building stage of the boarding house. Get rid of that. So what we can see now is all the resources are here and builders will come over and start building it. So it's 3 of 150 so far, but that will go up hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, another thing that will be really important is firewood. So what we want to build next is a woodcutter. And I'm going to put them... oh, they won't go just there because of the boarding house. Not particularly good landscape right here. Okay, they can go here. So again, the resources will be moved from here into here and then it will be built. Now what a woodcutter does is it changes our logs up here into firewood. Now houses, and in our case the boarding house, needs firewood in it, otherwise it won't stay warm, and if it doesn't stay warm the citizens will freeze to death, which we don't want. And we see, oh yeah, look, they're both building at the moment, that's good. Building away, and that should be at 100% complete in no time at all. Now the final thing I want to take care of is food. Now to start off with, I think it's important that we get a fisherman, as we've got a lake right next to us. Might as well utilise it. So what we're going to do is go on to the food menu and go fishing dock. Now these can be a bit tricky to place because you need them to be half in the sea and half on land, so sometimes they can be a little bit awkward. I'd really love it to sort of go there, but I think this will be the best coverage for now, so I'm going to pop that down. And I'm also going to put a road going from there along to here. That way whoever ends up working as a fisherman can just go up and down the road nice and quickly. So I think we probably need some more resources collecting, particularly wood, as our woodcutter will be using it. So we'll go back down to remove resources, we'll get rid of this iron here. And some of these trees. Right, now it's very important when doing resources like this to be careful not to just do a great big chunk and overlap over here. Now what can happen in that circumstance is you'll have your citizens trying to harvest this because you told them to, and they'll walk all the way around the river to try and get to it, and they'll end up dying on the way. So be really careful to only get rid of resources that are nearby. The builders are doing a wonderful job here on the boarding house. It looks like it's almost done. And then we need a bit more. Oh no, we don't need any stone. So you can see up here, builders, it's recommending that we get 9 because it thinks that this needs 4 to build, this needs 2 to build, and this one needs 2 to build. In reality, it's okay to only have a few. I prefer to just be getting resources, as I believe at the start of the game that's really, really important. And there we have it, our boarding house. And we should have everyone living in there, yep. So there's loads of space in here, as you can see. We're nowhere near being filled up. Got everyone's ages in there. There's only 2 children now. What are they? 5 and 9. So that one that's 9 will become older very, very soon. And if we look in the inventory, we can see that they've taken the firewood and they've put it in here, and they've taken some of the food. So it's now not in here, which is a little bit scary because, as you can see in our event log, it says that the reserve of firewood and food is low. We are in reality okay though, because they've just been moved into here. But once this is used up, that is it. So we need to get some food and firewood produced as soon as possible. We've got the 2 builders working on the woodcutter's hut now, so that's excellent. I think we need to assign our labourers to get rid of some more things, so we will remove all these trees here. That ought to take them a minute or two. As you can see, everything we wanted building has enough resources for it to be built, so that's fantastic. Okay, so once a building has been complete and needs a worker, if no one is assigned, you'll get a question mark over it. We can now look in our professions and we see that we need a woodcutter, just the one. So we can assign someone, and they'll come over and start turning our logs here into firewood. I'm not sure how many firewood you get per log or anything like that. Here we go, and fishing, as you can see, total number of workers 2. I actually want more than that. I'm going to let 3 people work in there. You can toggle that here. So if we go to fishermen, we'll have 3 working in there. We're allowed up to 4, but we'll just have 3 for now, that's fine. Now, to keep the health of our citizens high, it's important to have a balanced diet. So what we're going to do is we're going to have fish being produced here. What I also want being produced is, if I can find it, now it's in the food tab, we are a gatherer. So they can collect roots and berries. Now, with these gatherers, you want to place them in wooded areas, because if, for example, we were to place it here, they can't gather in the water, they can't gather on mountains because there's no, shrubs or bushes or trees, they can't gather where there's any houses or paths. So for them to be most efficient, they need to be placed sort of out the way somewhere. So what I think we'll do, I think if we expand our town this way, but then over here, we can put the gatherer. So what we're going to need to do is build a bridge. Wooden bridge, there we go. And we'll pop that just over here like so. And what that will do, once that's built, is enable our citizens to cross over to this side. It's only 24 logs and 6 stone, which we've got. So that's fine, we've got plenty of that. So once that is built, we can put down our gathering huts over here. We have a look at our firewood 100, so we've still got 100, that's brilliant. We've also got some being made, so don't have to worry about firewood. Our food, however, is going down slightly. Is there any in here? Yeah, so there's some fish been put in there, but not a lot. We have a look at, what do I want to have a look at? There we go, that's the button. So far it's produced 72 fish, which is not bad for 3 fishermen. And then it will tell you how much it's producing, how much it did produce. And this can be really handy if, for example, you think something's slowing down. It might be that you've got a gatherer's hut and it's really slowed down, so you put some buildings around it. You can use this tool to see, oh wow, yeah, I've sort of halved how much it had last time. So I find stuff like that really useful. I like the fact that this game has tools like that. Hopefully in a minute our labourers will bring some resources over. They've still got some more trees to cut. So what we can do is, under this one, we can set this as a priority. So now the construction of the bridge will be their main priority, and once that's finished they'll go back to getting rid of these trees that I've asked them to. What we're going to do, we're going to speed the game up just a little bit, and I'm going to place where I want my gatherer's hut over here. Let's see, I think that's fine. I'm also going to place a hunting cabin over here, because that's also really useful to have in a wooded area. And finally, if I can find it, I want a forester's lodge over here. There we go. That's it. So now the bridge has been constructed, they will be able to just make a path over. Where are all the buildings? Oh, here they are. There we go. Make a path over there to them. That will give us some varied diet. The hunter will give us hide, which we can turn into coats in the future. The gatherer will give us berries, which are another food source, and also will get us roots, which can be used to make medicine in the future. And what the Forester's Lodge will do is not only do they cut down trees to get us wood, but they also plant new ones. So what this means is we don't have to go around chopping down great bits of forest. Instead, all we have to do is just have people working in here, and wood then becomes a renewable resource, which is obviously really, really handy. We've had some children being born, so that's great. Now, this symbol here shows us that we've reached capacity. So here you see our resource limits. So what we've said is once fuel, firewood, gets to 200, stop making it. So you can see at the moment it's at 228. If we look in here, oh, not this one, sorry. If we look in here, yep, so we've got 172 in there, and we've got 94 in there. I'm not sure that quite adds up, but there we go. What they'll do now is this woodcutter will stop making firewood and will instead, I think, default back to a labourer until, it falls back below here, and then they'll start again. What I'm actually going to do is raise this slightly. I'm going to raise it to 500. That way they can make a bit more. It is useful to have, extra. What's that? The reserve of stone is low. Okay, in that case what we can do is we can tell our gatherers to get all this stone here. Not gatherers, I beg your pardon, labourers, to get all this stone here. Because now we've got the bridge, they can just go easily over. And you see how much faster they're walking on the path now? They are cutting the corner here, but it makes sense to have it like this so that we can put a building here at a later date. What I think I'm also going to do, what I probably should have done beforehand, was put down a small storage pile here. Now what you should do, I've sort of missed the boat now, but if you put down your storage pile first and prioritise it so that it gets cleared, when all these buildings are being cleared, rather than having to traipse all the way, back over here and put the resources in here, and then again obviously when they're building it they've got to bring the resources and put them here. They've got one nice and close and they can just go back and forth. I kind of missed that, I was a bit distracted, but that's a really good tip. Right, we've got the gatherer now, so 4 labourers to assign this gatherer. We'll put 2 gatherers in there, I think. That should be good. Right, this symbol here is that we're out of wood, but that's fine. Do we need more wood to build? Yes, we need a little bit more. So this is why you've got to be careful with your limits, because you might think, oh look, you can fit loads in here, why not just whack this up to, 2,000. This will happen, you'll run out of wood. So what we'll have to do is we will harvest some trees here. And what we'll really quickly do is prioritise that. That way the labourers will harvest the trees first and then pop them over here to get them into the, the Forester's Lodge. I'm just going to speed the time up to 10 times for a minute, which is the most. We're in winter now, which is the hardest period of time. We're in late winter, so we've already made it through a lot of it. When the weather's cold like this, workers won't stay out for very long. They'll go out and then they'll have to come back into a building to warm up. Furthermore, firewood is used a lot more during winter, so obviously the firewood's dwindled way down. Obviously we've got plenty in reserve here, but that's why I didn't mind upping our woodcutter here, as it is very important to keep firewood, otherwise what will happen is your citizens will unfortunately freeze to death. And it looks like we've got our hunting cabin just ready to be built. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to leave this episode off here, episode 1. Let me know what you think of the series, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.